Alrighty, so here's interior parts. That's sort of the inside. I just glued that piece together. That's all I did, and I made those folds to make it go up square, but self-explanatory. There's parts of the instrument panel that go behind the paper. There's a bulkhead that goes in the rear. Yeah, it's going to fit right like that and form the back part of the cockpit area. And I put that piece in. I didn't show you, but that's just one of those little teeth things that goes back there that will hold on to the next piece. Those are seat rests, or where the seat holders, right where those two little pieces are. That's where those go. Hold the seat on and the rest of the seats. So these are one of these things, again, where you cut it out. Has a little folding picture on the plans. So you just cut it out, and I score them, and then I put some glue in, and then fold them over. So that when you cut out the one side, the other side is the right color. It's kind of ingenious. It's neat. So it's a way that a lot of these paper models, the way they do that. So the seat has a rim around it. So I put the seat cushion, which has a piece of cardboard behind it, by the way, onto that rim. And there's an edge that's open, and it's colored. And that is so you can add some glue and then put your formed back right up there like that. It's the easiest and most user-friendly seat, paper model seat I've ever built. The designer's a genius. I mean, it was really easy, really nice. And then here, once these are dry, carefully cut them. And it's two thicknesses of paper. So once you get it lined up, take your time, multiple cuts. Now I've put them in off camera. They just go in. You make sure they're straight and make sure they're the right angle. You look on the plans to make sure. See how that's rising upward? That gives the seat a little upward tilt. And there's all the interior stuff we got to put in. But see, there's that. It's a little slant. But I'm not going to put it in yet. What I'm going to do is start building the forward part. So there's the rear backing of the instrument panel on its piece of cardboard. And the instrument panel, notice, is bent forward like that. That's normal. That's the way it's supposed to be. So each of those little wings gets a piece of cardboard as well. Once that's together, I put a little glue on the top. And this is, of course, after a lot of test fitting. And those wings, by the way, are still loose on purpose. I didn't know how things would fit. And you can see the instrument panel fits on the furthest away piece. And you line up, on that little loop up, that little edge I'm putting it on. It sets on that piece, not the piece closer to the seat. And that's hard to get in there, but once you're in, I did it very slowly and just let it dry. Made sure it's straight. And then once it was straight, I folded the other wing panels forward on the instrument panel, and I added a little bit of super glue from behind, hit it with zip kicker, and they were good. I let them swing free because I didn't know where they were really supposed to go and if they were going to impede with anything. Now I'm test fitting. This little shell goes in, and you can see that is the center, and that lines up and goes underneath. And you supposedly put it in so it's just so that white disappears. But just in case, I know how these things usually work, I put just a little extra black along that edge just to make sure that if you do have a little extra, it'll still see it. Now I'm trying to find out where exact center is. Now I put a little line, and I'm using where there's an optical telescopic sight on the top there that's going to be on. I'm using that as being able to make a nice straight line. So it's just a little faint pencil mark that I can see now, and I know that that is dead center. Yeah, you can see it it's kind of shiny, and it doesn't take away from anything. But that is dead center, and so when I put that, the sort of the tub in, I can line it up right where it's supposed to go. At least that's the theory. So put some glue on there, and not all the way, but just kind of in the middle. Get it kind of copiously put in there. And then I just slid this in, lined up my line to my pencil line, and kind of put a little pressure on the top and just kind of set it in place. And again, I've test fit this about, 68 trillion times. Just get it started, and then I turned around and just squeezed to the top. And that was enough to get it to stick and hold on. Then you have to get the rest of this thing put together. So you basically end up squeezing just the top part. Notice it's square and the fuselage has a shape to it. So what I decided, based on what the plans look like, all I'm doing is gluing this top piece right along there. And that'll be enough to hold it in place. It'll also help form the fuselage cross section there. So it's actually important. And you kind of wiggle it around and you can make it, it looks like it's not going to fit, not going to line up. And lo and behold, it's absolutely perfect. It lines right up on top of that edge, and then you just squeeze it right along where the glue is. And there you go. It's in, it's solid, it's clean. And now you have a cockpit tub in there. And again, you sort of shaped part of the sides. So then I went about and put glue around all the edges of that rear bulkhead. And then I slide that in. And I didn't put any glue on the tub to the bulkhead. I just relied, in this case, putting this up against the edge so that it should basically line up where the little teeth begin, right at the little valleys of the teeth. And that should be straight. And it turns out it comes in right on the edge. The fit is near perfect, and making sure the bottom is pushed in place. My fingers down there are pushing it because you want to make sure you get the right shape, because that former is a very critical shape to the fuselage. So there she is together. And so we got a tub in there. Looks awesome. Now I put the seat in. This is the directions say to put it in first, but this way I can kind of put it in, eyeball it where it's supposed to go now that everything else is in there. If I have to move it over slightly, because nothing, I don't know, it's never perfect. There's going to be things that maybe optically are a little off. So if I have to, I can sort of put the seat in and modify it a little bit. But in my case, it turned out okay. It looked pretty straight to me. And it's actually, when I look at it, one direction looks perfect. And then another direction, it looks like it's a little off. But it's going to be good enough, I think. But there's the inside. There's a lot of artwork on there, on the inside. And there it is. You can see the instruments look cool. And on the sides of the fuselage tub, they've done a lot of work on there. Now, it needs a stick. So that's the length of the stick, and that's a piece you're supposed to cut out and roll. And I never have much luck with that. So what I'm just going to do is cheat and heat some sprue up with my wife's fire stick. And pull that apart to about what I would think would be a diameter of the joystick. And once I get that, I'll just cut it to length based on that little square piece of black, that rectangular black. Just kind of hold it there, and it solidifies quickly, cools quickly, and you got a nice piece of cylindrical pipe. So that other piece that flew off hit the cab, I believe. Anyway, that's the main part of the joystick. Now I took some fuse wire, like 0.8 millimeter fuse wire, and wrapped it around a bamboo skewer to give me a roundish circle, and then pulled it off of there, which was a little difficult because the end of the bamboo stick's been used for so many things. There's bits of glue on there, so note to self, you should clear it up. Now you've got a cue there, but you just take your knife and you cut right through it. The fuse wire is super duper soft, and then you just kind of tweak it into place so it looks like a circle again. And then it's got a length, or it's a circle with a little piece cut out of it with a nick in it. Now I just take the main body part of the joystick and just slide it in that slot, and it holds pretty dang close. It's basically, it doesn't need glue, although we do hit a little bit of super glue, and then that holds it in place, and it's not going anywhere. Just a little bit of glue. I also used a little bit of the zip kicker just to get it to dry quick. And actually, when I did it this time, I got some of the. Sometimes when you do that, if you got enough glue, things will stick funny. So you got to be careful. And I put a little bit of glue on the bottom, and then just put it right where it's supposed to go. I didn't drill any holes. It's just butt joint on there with super glue, and that's plenty. And that's going to just finish the allure that it looks like it's something in there. It's pretty vacant in the cockpit, but this again is a simple model. I'm just showing I will paint it up. I'll paint it like a gray, and I'll paint the spade grip black. And now we go on to the rear fuselage. Cool. So, rear fuselage is cut out. There's a back decking that's going to go on there. That's the rear part of the cockpit. Again, that's with a piece of cardboard behind. That is a little bulkhead that goes on that piece. It's also got cardboard on the back. And then you've got all these little pieces and the actual rear component. These, of course, have all been, look how it's tapered. That's kind of neat. So the fat part goes forward and the skinnier part goes towards the back. Just like before, you add glue and all the way down there, and then you carefully line it up and um, add it onto the skin, and just line up those points on either end, and she should be just right as rain. And then you just kind of squish it and make sure it's glued in place, and there you go. Now this piece is going to be it for, there's another piece that goes in there for the cockpit. It's going to fit there, but I realized that I'm supposed to put these two pieces in. These I'm not sure what they're for exactly. I think they're going to be for adding the turtle deck windows. But those, I do the same way. Put some glue on them and line them up. Notice that the brown lines up with the brown. And there's little apexes on those pieces, just like the underneath strip that holds the cylinders of the fuselage skins together. And I'm putting on the other side. I just line them up, and then they are supposed to protrude like that. And I think what they're going to do is give me a place to stick this other, between those and those little teeth that we're going to put on next. That's going to give me a place to put the rear turtle deck piece, like I was suggesting. At least I think that's how it's going to go. So same old, same old. Just get this thing ready to go, and just drop it in, and you can see it fits like a puzzle piece. Fits really, really nice. Put a little pressure on there, and then that's all of the components sort of to prep your rear fuselage skin. And the artwork on there is so good, I didn't bother embossing anything. Those stringers look great, so I didn't bother embossing. I just figured, I'm going to leave them alone. Then I decided to add the bulkhead that goes on that top piece there just behind the fuselage. Again, there's artwork on there. Those are cylinders and things that are, I don't know what they are. And it'd be easy enough to just manufacture some of those yourself, scratch build, and make them actually three-dimensional. But again, this is supposed to be a simple, fun project to cleanse one's palette, making sure it's straight with a square. There you go. There's that piece. Let that dry. And now we start rolling this piece together. So I start by pressure and rolling it around on that super expensive mat, which again works very well, using different sizes. You put a lot of pressure, and you just keep doing this, and then you will make it work. Then what I did was I rolled it over on itself like an ice cream cone. I rolled it over like that into a cone shape multiple times, probably 8, 9 times, both directions. Both one side overlap and the other side overlap. Did that multiple times, and I got a real nice, smooth, no kinks. And now, channeling my inner pole, they actually come together without forcing them. This is the easiest one of these long cones I've ever put together, because I took the time to make sure it fit in the first place, and the paper was folded in the right way. I mean, it was already trained, so it makes a huge difference. So put those together. You got to make sure everything's lined up, because if they're not tight and lined up, stuff's not going to fit. Again, these are computer-made models, so man, if you're off, you'll find out. But carefully put those together. It helps in this case to actually put some pressure with my thumb, push down a little bit, and almost make those two pieces that are coming together almost flat. And that helps bring everything together. And you just run your finger up and down, and the parts you can't get, you put tweezers up there, and you make sure she's nice and straight and on there. And that's all there is to it. And then you've got this piece sitting there. Now this is going to fit, I'm just test fitting this. That little bulkhead's going to fit underneath there. And then the fuselage sides are going to fold around and glue to the edge of that little turtle deck area. I got to figure out exactly where it's going to go, where it's going to position, because I think it has to go a little farther forward. Here I am drawing, making sure I got a center line in there and a center line on the bulkhead for the rear of the cockpit, so that I know where those are going to line up. And now what I'm doing is just test fitting this, making sure those teeth fit in there. If I line those up, this is always a dicey moment. When you line that up, do the other parts line up? Is everything crooked? Does it look like it's going to look all right? You can't really see it in these videos because I'm such an amazing videographer, but it actually looks like it's going to work nice. What I got to do if they're gonna look pretty, they're gonna look really smooth, and the seams are gonna be almost invisible. What I need to do is figure out where the turtle deck piece goes in, where that flat piece goes in, where that former goes exactly, how far into the cockpit it goes. So that's my biggest issue right now, just figuring that out. Everything looks like it's going to match. Just got to figure out how to do the rest of it.